It's more than just a food service, you know, it's somebody that's there that cares every day.
There is a critical service in the Metro Twin Cities area providing nutrition and nurturing for those living day to day with HIV and AIDS. This organization is Open Arms, a nonprofit meals preparation and delivery program. Every week, Open Arms serves nutritious meals to individuals and families across the metro and suburban communities. The clients are men and women, children, straight, gay, bisexual, old, young, and come from many backgrounds. They need this life-enhancing, life-sustaining service for many reasons. They may be too ill to prepare the food, or lack the money to buy it. They may work but are far too exhausted at the end of the day to cook for themselves. Along with the vital nutrition these meals provide, the volunteers bring personal contact. A visit from a volunteer to a homebound client can bring the much-needed message that they are not alone and they are not forgotten.
Well, I think around the country, food programs started about the same time. And what happened is that in many places like Minnesota, medical care is pretty good, but people have to pay their rent, and medical care is taken care of. And one of the things that simply wasn't happening was people were not eating well. Either they didn't have the money or they didn't have the strength. And so the Aliveness Project was started by people living with AIDS. And they wanted to have a weekly lunch where people would come together and have a meal and socialize. And that's how we started doing food at all. Eventually, some people stopped coming because they were too ill to leave home. And we began to send food to them in a very modest way. So within about, I would say within a year, we were able to deliver meals 5 days a week with the help of a lot of different groups. And so that's how it started. We have a lot of children now. And these are primarily children of women who themselves are quite ill. It's a constant challenge, you know, to meet all of these needs. And we started out all volunteer, and we have 3 staff members now, but it's still mostly volunteer.
I was diagnosed in 1990, and I was diagnosed on the East Coast in Baltimore, Maryland, where at the time I was in the height of my addiction. I always had said that when I was diagnosed, I was just going to use till I died because I was going to die anyway. And what happened was exactly the opposite. When I was diagnosed, became synonymous with my clean date.
I lost a lot of weight as a result of the HIV virus. I was eating as much as I could. As a doctor, my doctor and nurses, and, well, Charles, you need to eat more. You need to eat more. You need to eat more. Well, sure, that's fine, but who's going to prepare all of these meals? How am I going to eat more? I only have so much time in the day to cook food and to be able to afford to buy the food that I need to help me with the weight.
A lot of times it's quite different. You know, a bad day is I don't even care to get out of bed. And then I have to take all of my drugs. And finally I come around a little bit. The neuropathy is really getting to me.
I came to Minneapolis after relocating back to the Bahamas. I came to Minneapolis 3 years ago for a grandbaby's funeral, and I found out I was sick, and I decided not to go back because I wanted to fight for my life.
I was living in New York, and I was on the streets, and I wasn't doing good. I was using, and I came back here to Minnesota. This is my home. I'm not close with none of my family relatives, but I made a new family for myself, and I'm a changed person.
Let me use a religious metaphor to talk about what I might say to somebody. I read recently that a pilgrimage is something that you start and you're never the same after you undergo it. I would say that one of the delightful and most valuable things about Open Arms is that it changes people. It's changed me. I would say to anybody that Open Arms, being connected with Open Arms, is the kind of a thing that you start and it takes you to places that you never knew you'd go. It takes you maybe into deeper places than you thought you'd go. And I would tell people that if they want to be involved in something non-bureaucratic, but very, very human, and if they would be willing to see how that affects them, not only the people to whom they drive meals or for whom they prepare meals, I'd say this is a place to have that experience.
I had just heard from a friend of mine who lives in California, and he was diagnosed with HIV positive, and so I thought this might be some way that I could help, because I couldn't do anything for him as far as bringing meals over, visiting him, and so this seemed like a good idea.
I think I was also attracted to Open Arms because of its, it was a very direct service organization where we've operated on a very tight budget, and we've delivered a very needed service. I had also been a taxi driver in the early 70s, so I knew how the cities were laid out, and I enjoyed going out and running around delivering meals.
I work in food preparation, so I've worked in restaurants all my life, and I enjoy cooking, and they were a good organization because they were very flexible as far as their scheduling was concerned, so that was another good reason why I went there, because they were very flexible about working around your work schedule and letting you come in when you wanted to come in. But a lot of times there's food of the heart and food of the mind, and so that is important to the person, not just the nutritional needs, but also the emotional. And they send out birthday cakes for people on their birthday, and our Christmas meal is more than, it's amazing, our Christmas meal.
Well, of course, I'd never even heard of Open Arms. I certainly must tell you that I had never heard of AIDS up until 1988. AIDS was, the only thing I knew about it was real insensitive jokes and things that happened to them. And in 1988, in the spring and March, our son, who lived here in Minneapolis, our oldest son, Billy, came out and told us that he had been living with HIV for 5 years, and now it was diagnosed as full-blown AIDS. Now, some of this is kind of in that vocabulary of the 1988s, because they don't use full-blown AIDS as a word today, but that's what Billy told us. Billy was our pride and joy, and not only my son, but the oldest son that I did absolutely everything with, and so we had to make some real changes because his health now was really deteriorating as early as that. So we just decided what we were going to do to continue to do together, which would be different from what we did before, because it would be because of his health. So he loved to drive my car, and I like to ride, and I love to jump in and out of places. And so then that's how Billy and I became the Open Arms partner.
I've been, it's almost 5 years since Open Arms been helping me. And they just make me feel like I'm worthy, like I'm somebody. Just bring the food and have smiles for me, you know. Just make me feel important.
Well, a good day is getting up. When I wake up and I look up and I see the ceiling, I thank God that I'm alive to see another day.
You know, you get to know the people that come by, and it's just that smile. That might be the only person you see that day. You know, or for quite a few days if it's one of those weeks that I'm not feeling well. So it makes a big difference to have that human touch, that human hand, or the days that you just might not feel together, maybe not physically, but mentally might be a bad day, and I get a flower, you know. I mean, just a small thing like that, you know, it looms into a big thing.
My son came up He was a professional dancer and model. He had the virus, and he knew he was failing, so he came up to be around his family. And I got him introduced to Open Arms, and he was kind of proud, like, you know. So I said, well, you don't have to take it, I'm going to take it. And he was ending up eating all my food. So I told him, and so they started sending him, you know, the same foods, and it was very nice.
The people that we serve, you know, are very brave and courageous people. I think that they're living with, you know, a long-term illness, and they, and I think that the people that serve them, the people that cook the food and the organizational people, you know, are very caring, considerate people. They really, they take the time to know these people and to, you know, find out those little things, you know, the birthdays, and are they going to be alone for a holiday or whatever, and I think that that's a real positive.
There is something about the providing of food to human beings that reaches more deeply than the providing of any other service.
Really can't put it in words. It's so phenomenal that, you know, it's just really great that they can, you know, and are able to help people out that are in financial need. Yeah, it's just really great.
The breakfast program, I think, is just great. I mean, it gives you the initiative to want to get up and cook, and it gives you that meal that's probably most important for me, because, I mean, I take 29 pills a day. So before I take a lot of my medications, I have to eat.
And as far as my son Billy was concerned, very bright young man, but of course, remember, this is his mom talking. But he was very bright, very humorous, had a lot of talent, and always did have dignity, but the way that he left this earth for eternity was with such great dignity that I really wouldn't change one bit of this.
It's a proven fact that nutrition is a vital link to sustained health in people living with HIV and AIDS. AIDS is on the increase, and so are the needs of those living with the virus. The search continues to find a cure. But until that day, these people need the services of Open Arms. These people are our neighbors, or our neighbors' children. To learn more about Open Arms, or to volunteer, or make a contribution, give us a call. You can make a difference at Open Arms.